Welcome to the weekly news roundup at the Diaspolitan, where we give you a brief rundown of everything that has happened in Nigeria. Stay tuned as we take you through updates on politics, security, education, Nigerian innovations, diaspora news, and the local news in the Niger Delta. Reporting is Virtue Adeleke from the Diaspolitan. Topping the political landscape this week, we begin with the Osun State election in the southwest. The dancing governor wins Osun State election. In the weeks leading up to Saturday's vote, Osun State was a battleground in every sense of the word. Accusations flew between the ruling Accord Party and the main opposition, the APC. The APC alleged plots to disrupt voting in key local government areas. Police were not taking chances. 15,000 personnel, backed by 30 commissioners of police, were deployed across the state to secure a peaceful vote. 15 political parties fielded candidates, but this was widely seen as a two-horse race. Incumbent Governor Ademola Adeleke of the Accord Party defending his seat after defecting from the PDP in December, versus the APC's Bola Oyebamiji, a former Osun Commissioner for Finance, who campaigned on fiscal discipline and what he called a new direction. On the 16th of August 2026, INEC's returning officer, Professor Olalekun, declared the results at the Osogbo Collation Center early Sunday morning. Governor Ademola Adeleke won with a total of 511,067 votes, while Bola Oyebamiji of the APC followed up with 444,815 votes. With a winning margin of 65,252 votes, Adeleke carried 19 of the state's 30 local government areas. Oyebamiji held on to 11, including a strong showing in Real Warri, his best performing LGA. A distant third place went to Najim Salam of the ADC, with just over 17,000 votes. This marks Adeleke's second term and notably the first ever outright governorship win for the Accord Party in Osun's history. From politics to football and heartbreak for Nigeria on the continental stage. For the first time in over 3 decades, the Super Falcons did not qualify for the 2026 FIFA Women's World Cup. Super Falcons eliminated from WAFCON. It has been, by any measure, a historic collapse for Nigerian women's football. The 10-time African champions arrived at this year's Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco as defending champions and heavy favorites. Instead, they suffered their first ever loss to a WAFCON debutant, going down 3-2 to Malawi in the group stage before recovering to beat Zambia and thrash Egypt 6-2 to reach the quarterfinals. That's where the dream ended. On August 9th, Cameroon's indomitable Lionesses edged the Falcons 1-0 in Casablanca, courtesy of a thunderous strike from Miriam Maeva Nyaju. It was a result that eliminated Nigeria from automatic World Cup qualification and ended a remarkable streak. The Falcons had reached the semi-finals of every single centralized WAFCON tournament they had ever played until now. There was still a lifeline, a playoff against fellow quarter-final loser South Africa for a shot at the World Cup playoff pathway. On Thursday, August 13th, in Casablanca, that lifeline was cut. South Africa's Banyana won 2-1, Christy Uchebe's late penalty proving nothing more than consolation. The result means that, for the first time since Nigeria's qualifying history for the Women's World Cup began, the Super Falcons were absent from the global tournament. The Nigeria Football Federation has since issued an apology to President Tinubu and to Nigerians over what's being called the WAFCON shame, and there are growing calls, including from within the sports media, for accountability at the top of Nigerian football. In entertainment news, comedian Real Warri Pikin has cancelled a scheduled live show in Delta State after what she describes as an ugly dispute over identity and naming. Real Warri Pikin cancels Delta show. The comedian, born Anita Asoha, had planned to stage her show titled Real Warri Pikin Live in Warri on September 20th at the Monarchy Event Center in Efun, Delta State. But according to her account, the trouble began over that very title. She says a section of the community objected to the show being branded as taking place in Warri, insisting instead that it be renamed Real Warri Pikin Live in Efun, arguing that the Warri name belongs specifically to the Ishekiri people. She says she was pressured to pull down billboards, delete social media promotions, and cancel radio jingles already running for the event, and that a petition was filed to block the show from happening altogether, with threats that it will be forcibly disrupted if she went ahead.
Hello everyone. So I want to address something very important regarding my upcoming comedy show scheduled for September 20th in Monarchy Event Center, Efun Uwe, Delta State. This video is really hard for me to make. After careful consideration and due to certain circumstances beyond my control, the show will no longer be happening. I don't cancel them. This decision wasn't made lightly at all. I have the utmost respect for my fans in Delta State, and I'm truly sorry for any disappointment this may cause. Thank you so much for your love and support. I don't take it for granted. I promise to make it up to you somehow. That being said, I will also love to add that being an entertainer from Delta State is very exhausting.
The comedian says the incident forced her to open up about what she calls 8 years of bullying tied to her identity, caught repeatedly in the crossfire of tensions between the Ijo, Urhobo, and Ishekiri communities in the Warri axis. Community she says she has always tried to represent all at once, given her own mixed Ijo and Urhobo heritage. For now, the September shows remains cancelled with no new dates announced. Overseas now, when Nigeria's government has been courting its diaspora community at a major summit in Canada, Nigeria Diaspora Economic Conference, Toronto. Nigeria's government courted its diaspora at the Nigeria Diaspora Economic Conference in Toronto, running August 13th to 15th, under the theme Thrive Abroad, Invest Nigeria. President Tinubu, represented by Chief of Staff Femi Gbajabiamila, urged Nigerians abroad to move beyond remittances for consumption and into structured investment, investment clubs, sector funds, co-investment vehicles. He said success should be measured not by speeches, but by commitments. One enterprise funded, one institution strengthened, one young Nigerian mentored. He pointed to new tools easing diaspora participation in Nigeria's financial system, the non-resident Nigerian ordinary accounts, the non-resident Nigerian investment accounts, and remote BVN enrollment. The administration also announced it will expand its Nigeria First and local content policies to cover diaspora investors. Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Shola Enikonlaye, called the diaspora a critical asset for national development, not a burden. The conferences followed the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria's new diaspora mortgage program, launched in London this month, offering Nigerians abroad up to 100 million naira in home financing for property back in Nigeria. And finally, a story affecting thousands of Nigerian students. a fresh wave of strikes by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, with disruption already underway right here in the Niger Delta. ASUU strike action in state universities. A fresh wave of strikes is disrupting Nigerian universities, with the Niger Delta already affected. On August 8th and 9th, ASUU's National Executive Council authorized branches at 20 state universities to move toward industrial action, accusing government of failing to implement the 2025 FGN ASUU agreement, signed after 16 years of negotiation. Affected institutions include Nasarawa State University, Kefi, IBB University, Lapai, Gombe State University, Plateau State University, Bokos, Adekunle Ajasin University, Ambrose Ali University, Kaduna State University, Enugu State University of Science and Technology, Imo State University, already shut, Taraba State University, Jalingo, University of Africa, Tororua, and two Bayelsa institutions, Niger Delta University, NDU, and Bayelsa Medical University, BMU. Nationally, the core complaint is a promised 40% lecturer pay rise effective January 2026, still largely unpaid, 7 months on. In Bayelsa specifically, NDU and BMU have gone further than most, declaring an indefinite strike, not just an ultimatum. ASUU NDU chairperson Comrade Onyikepriye Lucky Bebetedo says the dispute centers on the state government's failure to implement a collective bargaining agreement signed in December 2025, due to take effect January 2026.
Academic staff, which has a valid signed agreement since December 23rd, 2025, and duly communicated to the state government. Meanwhile, because it has to do with university lecturers, we are being told that it is not compulsory to implement. We are calling on the Bayelsa state government to pay the consolidated academic tools allowance. We are calling on the Bayelsa state government to pay the 19 months arrears of the 25-35% wage award. We are calling on the Bayelsa state government to come quickly to start the staff housing program in the Niger Delta University. The news making the rounds that the state had concocted a plan to remove the medical college from NGU to BMU, claiming the multiplication of similar programs in the 3 state universities. We are surprised that the Bayelsa State Committee is worried about the trend of mounting new programs without clearance from the state government. His Excellency, please walk your talk, as we are unable to apprehend the economics of surplus declaration, yet denying our legitimate rights, which will not bankrupt your government.
Lecturers want the agreed consolidated academic teaching and academic allowance, CATA, valued at over 336 million naira, plus 19 months of outstanding wage award arrears. Bebetedo noted over 10 states with lower federal allocations than oil-producing Bayelsa have already paid. There is no fixed end date. ASUU says it continues until government implements the agreement. Nationally, ASUU's NEC reconvenes late August or early September to review all 20 branches. Students have appealed to both sides to return to the table. And that's it on today's news roundup. Stay connected and stay tuned as we bring you more specially curated updates on things happening in Nigeria and to Nigeria for Nigerians in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. Reporting directly from the Diaspolitan, I am Virtue Adeleke.